Hello everyone, James Kirst here. Have you heard of NaNoWriMo? And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It actually stands for the National Novel Writing Month, but NaNoWriMo is actually a nonprofit organization that's been around for about 21 years, though I've only heard of them recently, and I don't really know much about them except for they provide resources such as forums, writing camps, and a plethora of other things to aid in the writing process. But what I'm really interested in is that their goal is to get people during the month of November specifically to write 50,000 words in a single month. Granted, the goal isn't as important to them as just sort of getting people started on their novels. Many people often say something to the effect, "Oh, I can do it next week, I'll do it next month," and they wind up never starting their novels. So instead, the NaNoWriMo's purpose is to get people off and the metaphorical kick in the pants that they may need in order to actually get started with the novel writing process. And that's great. And there's a reason why it is 50,000 words specifically, and the Great Gatsby was around 50,000 words. So let me just say this right now. I guarantee that I will hit 50,000 words at the end of the month. My goal is actually somewhere between 75,000 to 100,000 words. Why? Well, just based on my experience, I've written a couple other novels before. One was Magic Once Removed, the latest one, which was published in 2020, and the other one was Ghosts Are Assholes, published in 2018. Both novels were published by World Castle Publishing LLC, and I actually have a third one that's pending publishing. I've been pitching it around, and we'll see what happens with that one. So the point is, though, is that I've written several novels, and just based on the experience that I had with those, I'm thinking the one that I want to write will take me about 75 to 100,000 words to complete. Although I will say that if for some reason I'm wrong with my estimate and it takes fewer words, no problem. I'll just finish it up there. It's not like I'm going to pad to make sure it's 75,000 to 100,000 words. That's just sort of my estimate. It's not really like a goal that I need to hit. Not if I don't hit 75,000 words to 100,000 words, but the story's complete, I still failed. Obviously not. That would be ridiculous. So 50,000 words may seem daunting to some people, but for me, I calculated it out and I'm thinking, well, it's only going to take about somewhere between 16 to 1700 words per day. I think 1,666 and 2/3, and that's off the top of my head, human calculator here. So that's 16 to 1700 words per day, and that doesn't seem too bad. I know I work a full-time job, and I'm not going to be writing that much to start the month, most likely, but still, that seems rather reasonable to me. I'm not as busy as some people, so I understand that some people that might be an overwhelming task. For me personally, though, especially since one time I wrote 10,000 words over a weekend. Now, granted, I kind of slacked off the rest of the week because I thought, my God, 10,000 words in a weekend. That's like a good week. I could end at 10,000 and say that's been a very good week still. And that's exactly what I did. I just slacked off the rest of the week. If I don't do things like that, I think I'll be golden. I think I'll be able to hit 50,000 words easily. Now, 75 to 100,000 words, let's take the upper end of that, 100,000 words. That's 3,300 and a third words per day, again, right off the top of my head. And I'm not sure that's as doable. That's a lot, especially if I don't write a ton at the beginning of the month. That sets me behind the eight ball, and we might be looking at some point like 4,000 words per day. That I am not sure I can hit that goal. But 50,000 words? Yes. I guarantee that I will hit 50,000 words. I guarantee it. See? My one finger, that's one word. 50. I'll raise my finger 50,000 times. That's how many words I'm going to write this month, right? So why am I so confident? Well, like I said earlier, I can type pretty quickly. I mean, that's one of the things that I'm really good at. Contrary to popular belief, now I'm a programmer, and people think, well, you need to be really good at typing in order to be a good programmer. And I blame all the hacking movies where you see a guy hunched over, hacking, typing as quickly as possible. Most programmers don't need to be fast at typing in order to be a good programmer. It's more about developing algorithms. I'm not saying that all programmers or even the majority of programmers are bad at it. I'm sure that most are good, especially since they are at the keyboard so long. But you don't need to be, right? And I know a few that are really good programmers, like excellent, that can't type at all. I'm kind of the opposite, so to speak. So anyway, but that's not really the main reason. The main reason is because I have an outline ready to go. I just happen to have one, and I was planning on writing the novel sooner than later. So I thought, okay, since National Novel Writing Month is coming up, it's just a perfect storm. Why not give it a shot? That sort of thing. So let me take a look at my notes here. One of the things that I'm also saying about the draft with 50,000 words or 100,000 words or however long it's going to take is that I am under no illusion that after a month those 50,000 words are going to be amazing. I am pretty sure I'm going to be editing it heavily. There's an old adage, write drunk, edit sober. Now, I don't personally drink, but that's not the point, and that doesn't really matter because the expression is not meant to be taken literally. It merely means write down your stream of consciousness and worry about whether it makes sense later. You may need to rewrite a huge amount, but at the same time, at least you'll have something to work with, right? So I'm going to just kind of write. Now, it's not going to be literally stream of consciousness because, like I said, I have an outline, I have a direction that I'm going with the story, but that's the idea. It's like I'm not going to worry about specifically whether or not this is the right description, whether I hung on a scene too long, whether I went past the scene too quickly, that sort of thing. And the thing is too is that I'm probably going to cheat a little bit throughout this story. And you might say, what do you mean well, what I mean is that during the story writing process, I'm going to have parts where I basically, like in my outline right now, I have something happens here. And I don't say what happens here, but it's like some sort of transitional event needs to happen at this point. Like I need to move from one scene to the other or get to a certain place. And I'm not sure how to do it at this point. And unless I think of something while I'm writing, which could happen, which does happen, but if I don't, rather than sticking around and going, God, I'm going to have to think of something here and, stopping, I'm just going to move on and say, right, like something happens here and just go on and come back to it later. And there's a couple other parts where I want to write dark poetry to sort of mimic the original story. And let me go back to that in a second. But there's the parts where I want to write some dark poetry. And I'm not very good at writing poetry. So I am going to instead do that probably next month, rather, in December, rather than during NaNoWriMo or November. Is that a big deal? Does anybody really care? Not really. It's kind of based on the honor system, how many words you wrote. And the truth of the matter is, this is one of those instances where you're really just cheating yourself if you cheat at this. You're the one left without a manuscript at the end of the month. So if you decide to just lie about how many words you've written, so I don't think anybody actually cares. Like I said earlier, it's just intended to get people kick-started writing, not necessarily to get people, to write The Great Gatsby in a month, right? That's not the purpose. So, so that's the goal. That's the plan. So, my novel that I'm planning, and I alluded to earlier, I kind of put my foot in the mouth earlier, but it's going to be sort of a combination of Alice in Wonderland with the imagery of H.P. Lovecraft. And I know that's sort of been done before. There's a comic that had that sort of theme, as was a game, but they kind of made direct references, right? They said this game, the game and this book both starred Alice herself, although I think it was a much older Alice, and made direct references to characters. Like you had the Mad Hatter, and you had, the rabbit, and all those other things. Sure, they were demonic, but they were still those characters. They're supposed to be. They're supposed to be dark versions of those characters. I'm merely making allusions to those characters, right? I actually have a different message altogether than those stories. I think a lot of those stories tended to be, well, Alice is just, crazy. This one's a little bit deeper than just my main character is a little bit psychotic. It's not really that at all. And I'm not even naming the character Alice. She's Mara Hart, a young woman, and she's actually of Creole descent that is a single mother. Sort of. I'm afraid you'll have to read the story to find out exactly what I mean. This story is actually intended to be part of a larger series, so that won't be clear initially. It's going to be part of what I'm calling my Gregory Sole series, and that's a series that stars the eponymous Gregory Sole. He was a character who starred in one of my short stories, which is actually available to read on jamescurse.com, and the link will be in the description if you're curious or want to read it. In fact, the first Gregory Sole reading is also available on the site and should be up by the time this video gets up there if you're curious. But the point is that I'm going to make this short story character into a full-fledged character. He's going to be a novel character, and he's going to star in a series of novels, is what I mean to say. And Mara Hart, the horror character that I'm writing, will be a major player, but that won't be clear until the end of the series, you know. So far, I've only gotten one Gregory Sole draft written, and I do have a couple more outlined, and I have some grand plans for that character and the characters that he interacts with and the adventures that he has. But I'll talk about that more as I get to that point, or maybe as this goes on, or just when I get to it. So that's the plan. That's the plan. You know, normally I don't participate in such things, and I'm a self-starter, so, and I've, you know, like I said, I've written novels in the past, so this isn't really necessary to motivate me to write more. I have tons of stories to tell. But at the same time, I'm not the quickest on these things, so I thought it'd be good exercise to get me to write more quickly. And I also thought, you know, it could be fun. It could be a fun experience, and maybe I'll see if anybody else is doing it and see how they're doing, and just as sort of a fun exercise with other people. Try to participate more, maybe a little bit with the larger community, and but the main thing is I'm also planning on documenting my progress. You know, I'm not planning on doing anything special per se. You know, I'm maybe just stating how many words I wrote on one day and how I felt overall. Do I think I did well that day? Do I think I did poorly? Did I think I did poorly? What caveats did I face? You know, what issues did I run into? Do I feel I'm on track to reach 50,000 or 75,000 or 100,000 words? Are there any quotes I'm proud of? Are there any sections of the story I think I wrote well? And what do I think needs work still? So stay tuned for my daily updates. You know, like I said, they'll probably be even shorter than this video. Probably be like 5 minutes or so at most. Unless I think of some story. Sometimes I'll just go off on a tangent and talk about a different story or a story about my life or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. Is my confidence unjustified? Because I'm really confident right now. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling pumped up. Like, yeah, I can hit 50,000. I think I can hit 100,000 words, right? I think I'll be able to complete my draft this month. But we'll see. I've looked at a couple, and admittedly the sample size was low, but a couple of videos on YouTube, and the authors or potential authors seem to almost be panicking. And I know part of that might be just their act, you know, but, you know, not me. I'm not panicking at all. I'm full of confidence, you know, because here's the thing. You know, as I said earlier, 50,000 words is just a goal, right? This is supposed to be fun. You're not supposed to stress out about this, because what happens if I don't, or you don't, or anybody doesn't hit 50,000 words? What if my confidence is unfounded and I write 30,000 words or 20,000 words? So what? Does anybody really care? What if it takes me 3 months to hit 50,000 words or 75,000 or whatever amount, but at the end of the day I come up with a really good novel? Does anybody really care how long it took? Do I get bonus points from reviewers because they're like, well, this is a terrible story, but he wrote it in a month, so 5 stars. No, the reviews will be, well, he wrote it in a month and it really reads like something that was written in a month. So this is terrible. I mean, obviously I don't want that either. And you know, like I said, it's going to be heavily edited regardless. So even if I hit 50,000 or 100,000 at the end of the day, so what? There's still a lot of work to do. It's not done. So that's what I'm saying. Just have fun with this, you know? We'll see how it goes. It's not supposed to be a stressful endeavor. So if you see anybody like panicking, oh my God, how can I hit 50,000 words in a month? That's not the point. The point is just to get you started writing. So just think of it that way. If all you write in this month is an outline, great. Just do what you can. That's all I'm saying. Have fun with it. Anyway, until tomorrow where I tell you how I did, this has been me, James Curse. Please like, comment, and subscribe and all that jazz if you enjoyed it. If it's still Halloween, happy Halloween. And otherwise, good luck. Have a good one. Take care.